because we haven't started yet, I'm going to wait to get in position. Okay, let's explain what's going on here, okay? Okay. I just gave you guys crap. I gave you a lot of stuff. At the end of the panel, we're going to have the attendees roll random. We'll have like we'll say the closest to blah, the highest or something gets a minion, and then everyone got 3 of something except for Gaius, who got the 1 miniature that's going to be given away. Okay. We good?
Got it.
I was like saying when you said 3 in my head, I was like, wait a minute. Oh, okay, I got 1.
Oh no. Champagne's coming?
Aww.
Well, then
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Sure.
I was gonna come in and say, oh yeah, they mentioned the Guajas.
Yeah.
We'll sing.
I mean, we scared the shit out of Senpai, so...
Yeah, I told them. I wish we could find the video, though.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm just going to YouTube here really quick.
$10 for the extremes to be uploaded. They're kind of sloppier, but you know, because they're not much different than the other ones. Except I noticed some mechanics that never existed because I've never done the extremes before, and I'm like, holy shit!
Yeah.
Yeah, I already had to go through that and the wipes, but I did see you. I was trying not to have it in there. I'm like, oh, okay, well, scrub past this.
So, for explaining the mechanics, how am I going to watch the video to do that, so that way I can point out the things? There's gonna be a delay on my end, though. That's the problem.
Are you able to pull it up via Discord?
What do you mean?
I think you could show your browser window through Discord.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, or what if you did that?
Because if I go for your Twitch account, I'm going to have like anywhere from a 5 to 10 second delay, and the mechanic will probably be over by the time I can start explaining it.
Discord stream.
Yeah, Discord stream will probably be good.
Yeah, if you can do that, like, I definitely want you to be streaming on Twitch because streaming to Discord limits the amount of people that can watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm off by like 2 seconds, it's not that big of a deal. Even 5 seconds isn't that big of a deal, but like if it's 10 seconds or more, that means the entire clip with the mechanic can be over by that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on.
BRB. Gotta take the dog out.
Avi, really quick, should we test it now, just so that way we don't have to worry about it later? Like, we got about 20 minutes. No, that's not what I mean, like, via Discord, so Ami can explain. Like, the screen share and stuff like that. That way, just so that way Anna can see what she has to explain, and then whenever it's happening for your Twitch, it should be fine.
Okay, I have the stream pulled up. I have it up on Discord.
Yeah, same.
I'm good to go.
Go for it.
Coming up next,
I love this little pop.
Ruby Weapon. Stamp Tank Buster Mechanic, use cooldowns and heals.
Is this the normal one?
Optimize Ultima.
Yeah, this is normal.
Okay.
Am I gonna be
Ultima
explaining normal mechanics as well? Or am I gonna be...
I can do part of normal anyway.
Okay.
I'm gonna be doing Sapphire because I'm the one who actually did it.
Okay.
Okay, now
Alright,
we
there's Emerald.
you gotta go back. Go
And
back.
then next is Diamond. Oh look, there's Lynn from when they were helping us.
Yeah, Lynn popped up earlier to the place, by the way.
Aw.
Wait. No, I think I'm not too sure.
I see me.
And I see you get hit.
A lot.
Oh yeah, this is when Wish.com Rex was just taking out Rex.
He wanted to prove that he was the real one when I'm the real one now. It's
No. The source
It's-
called
You
thebalanceexpress.com.
guys are fucking
No, it's-
terrible.
it's a failed clone. It's a failed clone of Valentine.
It's a fell cleave.
It's a something.
It just turns into fucking tank fell cleave, fell cleave, fell cleave. Rex is only a fell cleave.
This feels like it's normal still. I thought we were going over extreme.
This is normal.
This is
See?
still normal, though.
Yeah, this is normal.
Yeah, how to tell that it's normal? I'm in it.
Orbs, yeah. So this is all
Well,
normal
both of us.
footage.
I wasn't in extreme emerald either. Because
Well,
I don't
then
trust
I can tell by looking at mechanics what isn't the extreme.
Hmm.
So this is all normal.
Yeah, this is the normal video, not the extreme video.
Nice cutaway there. Get them, Sayo. Go cut their ankles.
Just let him sit there. It's fine. It's fine.
I'm a little nervous about this.
No, don't be nervous. It's okay.
I'm back.
I've never done anything
Welcome
like this.
back.
I have.
You win this time. Who, me?
I missed it.
Do
That was
we
elsewhere.
do we have the extreme video? Was that ever?
It's uploading now.
Guys uploading the extreme video.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's gonna upload in about 2 minutes.
Ellie Warren, I don't think there's enough room in the house for this.
They're getting people brought down now.
We can only fit so many people in the actual house, and then everyone else is just gonna have to join on stream.
Yeah.
What the hell?
What the hell was that?
Guys.
Guys.
Let Abby talk.
Guys.
Quiet. Abby.
Yes, Abby?
Go.
Yeah.
That's fine.
T, stop cooking. Get back in.
Okay.
You
I
have
actually
any?
Oh.
Avi's muted.
No, Abby's good now. Abby's good now. Okay. Welcome everybody to the Baelsar Bunch, a Sorrow of Werlyt panel. This panel has been brought to you by the Werlyt Restoration Fund. We thank every one of you for all of your contributions to making Werlyt the best it can possibly be. My name is Starlight Sonic, and I am Ali Baelsar's handler. Sadly, Valens found that today would be the best of days to send my sister Melisandria to the front lines. Thank you so much, Valens, for that. Anyway, she could not join us, but she is wishing you all the best and hopes to see you at our next event. Next, please.
Hi, my name is Alphonse Baelsar. You may also know me as Thankwood Waters off Diablos, and I am his handler. Thank you all for attending our panel. We look forward to being able to give you the best show possible.
Hello, everyone. I'm
Abby.
Evelina, and you may also know me as Cadet Mivois from Mateus.
Abby!
You there,
Evelina!
Avi?
I think Evelina's gotten stage fright.
No, I was speaking on stream.
Oh.
Thank you.
そうですね。そうですね。
Alright, so, starting over, I'm Evelina. I'm also known as Cadet Mivois and Mateus. And it's a pleasure to be here with you. I am, of course, Evelina's handler, and I look forward to possibly answering your questions and giving you guys a good show today. I apologize if I don't see your questions right away. I'm also running tech for the show, so I've got half a dozen screens in front of me right now.
Rex.
Hi guys, I'm Rex. My actual name is Dan. I'm also Suzuha
Oh dear.
Ishiyama, an Adamant. toys. Um, thank you, and I hope you enjoy this.
No wonder they heard you okay, Rex. I'm Rykon. Rykon, Baelsar's handler. You might have seen me around as Sultana Raza on Diabolos. Honestly, I'm surprised so many have shown up. And later on, I hope we're able to answer all your questions. Please enjoy the show. Guys?
Oh, okay, yeah. Hi, I am Bernier Dalenberg from Diabolos, and I am Gaius Van Belsar's handler. Well, I'm hoping that this panel goes really good, and there won't be such devastation. Ha ha ha. Insert pun here. And I'm just happy to be here.
And the person next to Gaius is, of course, our dear legatus of the seventh, Valens Van Barrow, who is Valens Van Barrow for all intents and purposes. Okay, so now that we've well, actually, there's one very special person up here. I don't know if any of you follow our Twitter, but if you do, that you'll know that this is our pet cat. Just he's here for moral support. Good kitty. He is Tyran on Primal, and of course Grahatia, the leader of a Grahatia collective / Noah on Coral. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be going over in this panel. What was the Sorrow of Werlyt? I do hope that everyone here has completed this quest line. If not, I'm sorry, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't and you do mind spoilers, you might want to leave or exit the stream. But if you don't mind spoilers, by all means, stick with us. So a Sorrow of Werlyt panel quest line, is essentially the 8-man raid group from Shadowbringers, but it's a lot more than that. It shows us a lot of it shows us essentially, other than what we saw in Stormblood, the devastation that has hit all of the different places that Garlemald has taken over. Also, it shows us kind of a background story to Garlean characters such as Gaius Van Baelsar, which, if you were able to play the original Final Fantasy 14, you'll know that he wasn't really always a terrible guy. He did have some redeeming moments in the original game, and that kind of comes to play again here in Sorrow of Werlyt. You find out that he adopted orphans. Granted, it was because they had some military prowess, and raised them as his own. Those orphans then turned into soldiers, and those soldiers are the ones that you see before you. Valen, shut up. But Sorrow of Werlyt encompasses not just learning a little bit more about Garlemald and its different provinces, but also, of course, it's slightly a redeeming arc for Gaius Van Baelsar. What you're going to be expecting in this panel is we're going to talk, of course, about the quest line, which we're going to talk about the characters, some of the Easter eggs that you may or may have not missed, speculations, ours and yours, and after that, we'll be talking about the fights. First, the normal version, so that you can get through the quest line if you haven't, and then Alphonse will be explaining in detail the extreme fights. After that is probably my favorite part of the panel, which is called Ask a Garlean. Ask a Garlean is where you guys get to ask us whatever you want. After that, everyone that's actually present in the panel room, we do have giveaways for minions that are Garlean flavored. With that being said, let's get started. So as we already discussed about the quest line, it follows the squadron, I guess, of the 7th Imperial Legion, I should say, of the Imperial Army, which is led by Valens Van Varo, and has an elite team consisting of Gaius Van Baelsar's children who pilot the weapons. It is the Warrior of Light's job to defeat said weapons in the 8-man raids. You start with Ruby, and after that you have Sapphire, which is a one-on-one instance. After that you have Emerald, and finally Diamond. Of course, you have to complete all of these to open up the extreme modes. Through this quest line, you learn more about Gaius Van Baelsar and how he's truly, honestly, really feeling crappy about a lot of stuff that he's done. And he's having to come to terms with how he treated these orphans and what happened in the past, how it's affecting the current and the future. Also, of course, you get attached to the characters. Don't lie, you probably cried. I know I did. Next, I want to talk about the characters, and for that, I'm going to hand it over to Avelina and Gaius. Give us a rundown on the characters, guys.
All right, thank you very much there, Allie, and let me just say for everyone that's listening to us on Discord, as I mentioned in the stream chat, I know I absolutely cried. Ugly tears. There was so many of them. But I'm going to start off the top with Alphonse standing here to my left. He's at 21 years old. He's the eldest of the children adopted by Gaius, the former legatus of the 14th. His goal in his growing up in the Imperial military was always to protect the victims of prejudice, because he was taught by his father, or at a young age, that everyone in the Empire must be treated fairly regardless of race or background. And he'd had plans originally to pilot the diamond weapon, but met an end fused with its core. I'm going to hand it off to Gaius for introducing Melisandre now.
Melisandre. She is the pilot of the Ruby weapon and only 20 years old. She is a close friend of Avelina and also a former Magitech engineer. Originally, she was despondent and introverted, but grew to become more assertive and self-assured through Alphonse's guidance. Might have she chosen to embark on the mission as a Ruby weapon due to part of her emotional attachment to Alphonse. Unfortunately, her fate was that she fused with the core of the Ruby weapon.
All right, and next up we have Rex, who is standing here to my right. Right at 18 years old, he's right in the middle of all of the pilots here as the pilot of the Emerald weapon. He was always well known for being extroverted and outgoing, and having a lack of restraint, often putting him at the center of attention. This, of course, being no less evident in his explosive temper and want to confront those he believed to be harming his siblings, irrespective of their rank or status. He came along with the weapon project to support his older brother Alphonse, and unfortunately fused with the core of the Emerald weapon during the battle with the Warrior of Light.
Next, we have Recon. One of the tallest of the children, but also one of the youngest. He is pilot of the Sapphire weapon. Though he lacked physical prowess of peers, he had very high dexterity suited to equipment maintenance. While shy and withdrawn, Recon would not hesitate to defend his friends. Unfortunately, his fate came to be when he replaced Rex as pilot of the Sapphire weapon and fused with its core.
And next we have our fearless leader here at the podium, Allie, the youngest of the siblings at 16 years old. By nature, always extremely withdrawn and averse to confrontation, and constantly stuck to the side of her of Alphonse, her older brother, by birth. I don't know what Valens is doing, but Valens, please shut up. And originally, Allie was never informed of the plans to use the weapons in liberating Werlyt, and attempted to rescue Alphonse by commandeering Diamond, and although she had been designated the pilot by Valens, and unfortunately, Allie discovered all too late that the brother she sought to rescue had been fused with the core of the weapon, and at present, aside from joining us tonight, it has been receiving treatment in Turncliffe per Gaius's orders for traumas she experienced during the operation, and is a recent recipient of the Medal of Independence from the newly liberated government of Werlyt.
Feels kind of funny interviewing yourself. Evelina. Age? Unknown in game, but can be theorized to be close to the age of Millie. Former Magic Tech engineer. I honestly cannot pronounce that. Originally of the 14th Imperial Legion. She was assigned to work under Nero Tolskavia on restoration of the ultimate weapon. She was also present at Praetorum during Operation Archon, and also escaped prior to the facility's destruction. Close friend of Millie, and pilot of Ruby Weapon. She was also the designer of the propulsion system used on G-Savior and G-Savior Mark II. She is fated to return to Turncliffe. Some within Garland Ironworks considered proposing to bring her as a member.
All right, and on the handoff, a rather interesting turn of events, I am now introducing Gaius van Baelsar, the Black Wolf. 56 years old, pure-blood Garlean, and former legatus of the 14th Imperial Legion, and known for its dominance in Werlyt. It attempts to encroach into Eorzea, as well as taking over Garabania. He's credited with the conquest of 5 different city-states, but after events at Praetorium is presently allied against Garlemald. He's the foster father to Alphonse, Ali, Melisandre, Rex, and Rykon. And Now, he was presumed dead after Operation Argon, and with such devastation everywhere, but had in fact survived and took to hunting Asians under the moniker the Shadow Hunter. But when we brought him back, he loaned his knowledge and strength to the Eorzean Alliance effort against Ince's 7th Legion and the Weapon Project. Later, coming on as the commander of the Werlyt Revolutionaries and remaining in Turncliffe to care for Allie, his youngest daughter.
Now, let's introduce Valens. Age 56, pure-blooded Garlean raised in the capital. Trained as an engineer at the Magitech Academy, but chose to pursue a career in the military. Insightful in use of war machina developments, unprecedented in the use of tactics considered reprehensible even by peers. He had found great success in the field, rising through the ranks in corps. Was rejected as legatus of the 14th Imperial Legion in favor of myself, resulting in one-sided rivalry, choosing methods opposed the Black Wolf. Chose to continue weapon project, possibly in a bid to suppress me. Fate. Oh, fate. Crushed by the diamond weapon. It was beautiful.
All right. Next, we have Gaius's two assistants in his hunt against the Asians and later in Werlyt. I'm going to be introducing Severa, a 23-year-old woman born in Werlyt, to a couple of local women and a pure-blooded Garlean from the occupying forces. Now, being kind of a half-blood, as it were, she was shunned by both sides, her local people as well as those of the Empire, but joined the Imperial military in hopes of her station deterring those who hated her mother, and did gain some temporary acceptance as a result. She was eventually assigned to the 12th Imperial Legion to fight in Alamigo under Xenosier Galvez. And after the Empire's defeat, however, in Alamigo, fled home, only to end up fleeing again upon discovery that the Empire had denied life-saving medical treatment to her mother, her meeting Gaius in her aimless flight from Werlyt.
And finally, we have Valdolin. Age? We're not really sure. But he fought on the front lines against the Empire's expansion, but was knocked out in an opening skirmish. His unit and his village, including his wife and daughter, vanished. They were massacred. The villagers were used as test subjects for Black Rose. He joined Order of the Twin Adder to take revenge on the Empire, and when the time came, participated in Operation Archon, including on the attack on the Praetorium. Though, unfortunately, he was caught in a collapse, but was able to barely make it out alive. Met Gaius after escaping the rubble, and at Gaius' request spared his life, and chose to join the Legatus in his quest to end the Asian menace. But he still wants to kill Gaius nonetheless and take vengeance.
And I believe that covers all of the characters. So now that we know who they were, let's focus a little bit on the Easter eggs that you might have missed. I know my first playthrough, I did miss them. I didn't catch it until someone told me, or until I played it through a second time. The first thing that I don't know if you guys did or not, there are dossiers behind the quest giver for the Star of Werlyt quests, and these will give you a little background on these characters. That's where we came. That's where we got the information for the character segment. I've noticed a lot that many people think that Recon. Sorry, suddenly there were light sticks. Um, a lot of people seem to think that Recon is older than Rex. That is actually not true at all. Recon is the second youngest next to Allie. Other things that you can see if you've completed these quests, or at least if you've partially completed these quests, once you're in Werlyt, which is that solo instance area, during the daytime, if you stand around near the fountain, you will see Melisandre chased by Recon run over to the little garden area where they are playing hide and seek. They ask each other, "Where are the others?" They say they don't know, and they run off. After you fight Emerald Weapon, aka kill Rex, Rex will join them, and they continue playing hide and seek, but they keep asking, "Where's Allie? Where's Alphonse?" Of course, after you defeat Diamond, Alphonse joins them. There's another special thing about Alphonse that I'm going to get to in a second. But one thing that I really, really enjoyed about Recon and Rex, the child forms that show up in Werlyt, is we all know that Recon was initially supposed to be Emerald Weapons pilot, and Rex was initially supposed to be Sapphire Weapons pilot. So the data that was stored in Diamond Weapons core got them slightly confused. So if you look at the child characters, they have two-toned eyes. They have their normal eye, and then they have a gold eye, because the weapon got confused. The data didn't match up. The other really cool thing about Alphonse, well, I say cool, actually it's just really, really sad, is that you can tell that this isn't a memory, right, in the diamond weapon. Alphonse's actual soul is trapped in the diamond weapon. You can tell that because with with Melisandre, Rex, and Recon, they all maintain a childlike demeanor, that carefree, yeah, let's go play hide and seek. Whereas when they ask Alphonse, "Where's Allie?" Alphonse replies with, "She's with father. She'll join us later, much later." He's saying that because he doesn't want her to die soon. He wants her to die later in her life. And that's why after they run off, he stops and waits and says, "Even though we're far apart, we're always together." So he's kind of permanently stuck there. It's very sad, but if you'd like to see the Werlyt characters again, you can go to Werlyt even after you've completed the quest line and see these child versions of their characters. I have taken plenty of screenshots with them myself. Yeah, that's really the only Easter eggs that I've found, is that if you want to learn a little bit more about the characters, you definitely need to look at the dossiers. It will explain their personalities and their ages. And if you want to see the child versions of the characters and have your heart broken to pieces all over again, just go to Werlyt again. They will, Alphonse will, if you completed the quest line, Alphonse shows up first. He runs all the way to the little garden area before the stairs go leading down, and then he's joined by the other three siblings. But you can only see them during the daytime. You can't see them at night. The next part that we want to focus on is speculations, and I'm going to open the floor to all of my panelists first for what they think is coming in Endwalker for these characters. My personal thoughts on it is, obviously they announced that Gaius Van Baelsar is now leading the Werlyt resistance. So I think that he's going to play a key factor and probably the Garlemald section of Endwalker. If Allie shows up again, I personally think she's probably going to be piloting the G Warrior. And Avelina is definitely going to join the Ironworks. I mean, that's pretty much obvious at this point. Everyone else?
Yeah, considering, and this is Avelina again, considering what we know, if you speak to the burly engineer after you complete all of the quests, he he does make mention that Avelina may end up being offered her the opportunity to come on board as a member of the Ironworks. I'm sorry about the getting a little bit distracted. Severa actually just joined us in the front row here. Welcome. And so I do believe you're absolutely right, Allie, that she will join the Ironworks. However, to that end, I feel like we're going to see her play a potentially some sort of role in the Garlemald leg of Endwalker as well.
Anyone have anything to add to that? Rex, Recon, Gaius, Alphonse?
I absolutely believe that there's going to be more to play with the Sorrow of Werlyt. There were too many things involved in the story, especially with some of the characters like Gaius, to be left out of the Endwalker part of the story. I think that there is going to be reference to it. It's not going to be heavily, obviously, because it is all optional. But I do believe there will be mentions of it, such as Gaius taking up the moniker as being head of the Werlyt resistance group, and probably involved in taking back Garlemald. So while there may not be major implications to the storyline from the Sorrow of Werlyt quest line, I do believe there will be small mentions and Easter eggs, because there has not been a single thing in Final Fantasy XIV that has been done that has not had some significance to it.
I only have
So you're fine.
no. What I was saying, yeah, I agree that I definitely think that I'm feeling that Allie might start having more like she's coming out, but still has some like moments of like, what has happened. I mean, that kind of stuff just doesn't go away. But I think she'll be the type of person to be amped about the G Warrior. And I'm really hoping G Warrior does honestly come back for Endwalker to some degree. And that I really believe that Gaius will probably be a quest giver or something like that. I really think that will happen. But that's all I got.
My honest opinion of that is maybe like once World is all taken care of, I kind of see Gaius in the future taking over as like the leader of Garlemald altogether. You know, like instead of like a monarchy type thing, it would be like a council of sorts.
Like a prime minister.
Essentially.
In a way, yeah. The way I see that happening, though, is Gaius would probably, I think, in Endwalker would wind up giving us maybe the Garlemald Alliance raid quest line in order to try and rescue it. And then maybe somewhere down the line, Ali will come along in a G Warrior and help us out somehow. With Avelina in possibly in the G Warrior Mark II.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, at this point, for the next 5 minutes, I want to hear everyone in here, all of our attendees. What are your expectations for Endwalker? Do you think that these characters are going to make another appearance, at least the ones that are alive? I want to know what you guys think. Give us some input. And of course, you can either put it in Say Chat if you're here, like presently in the building, or you can put it in stream.
I'm not getting any mentions in the stream chat, but I will just note, Valens, it doesn't seem like you have very many fans. Just,
I
just,
wonder why.
yeah,
No,
it's
I think they think that it'll all go to its head.
I
what
mean,
head?
his head's already gone.
Yeah, well, we already knew that long ago.
Oh wait. Ellie's your fan. Look, bring Belin's back.
You have a fan out there?
Huh?
Well, Cyborg Valens.
Oh no.
And yeah, Blue Shades, I definitely agree with you. They wouldn't put that much effort in making an instance area if we weren't going to use it again. I also agree that Gaius, it would be really awesome if Gaius led a Garlemald raid. That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
Martise, no.
And
where would his head be, though? That's the question.
who knows? I've got actually,
Valens' head's an Easter egg.
I've got Carl from accounting as well as Ellie both in the stream chat that's speculating actually about the potential what's left of him may be possessed by an Asian, a la what we saw happen with Xenos.
Oh
Except
god,
with
that'd
no
be
head.
cool.
Oh, wait, that's right. Didn't Xenos decapitate himself or something like that, and then he came back?
No, Xenos cut his neck.
Oh.
But I could see that being possible. But don't forget, Garlemald also has the possibility for cloning a la of itself. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that one, they could clone Valens, or two, cyborg Valens, which is what I'm thinking more so, kind of like what they did to Gwynhart.
Oh,
Yeah.
and
I actually kind of agree with Minerva that Gaius is definitely probably going to play a role in Walker, but not so much as in slaying comrades or ally. Simply because Gaius has been a continuous, right? He's been with us since the beginning, be it friend or foe, and it'd be kind of dumb to just leave him in Werlyt.
yeah, and Onyxia actually in the stream chat that has raised the idea, and this is a really interesting one. I really like it, the sound of this. Wondering if Ali might not become part of a Garlemald restoration similar to what we saw happen with Ishgard.
Ooh.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that idea. That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
But I think in my personal opinion, that Star of Werlyt was popular with a lot of people. I mean, from what I've seen on Twitter, especially, you either loved it or hated it, but a lot of people loved it. So I think that the developers will probably take that into consideration and most likely will at least get a mention. But because of time constraints, we got to move on to the next section. But these are all really, really good speculations. And I want to hear more of these. So if you guys want to send them to us, either on our Twitter or on our Discord, I'm down for talking more about this. Like, totally down for it. Yeah, we can get a Discord link. Yeah, we can do that. Can one of you guys that's on PC post the Discord link, please?
On it.
Thank you. So the next portion is all about the info on getting you through these fights. The fights, especially if you're used to doing extremes or savages, they aren't that complicated. But we're going to help you the best way we can with videos and Alphonse, because Alphonse is a god.
Hardly, but thank you. I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm also putting it in the panel text chat on the LunarCon Discord if someone would be able to share it in the Say chat for those who aren't in neither the stream nor Discord.
And Abby, whenever you are able to, can you please start the fight video so that Alphonse, because I'm actually going to leave this to you, Alphonse. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'm happy to explain the prowess of the Garlemald Empire.
Yeah. Alright, so stand by. Transitioning now. Boom.
I need the video.
Alphonse must see the video.
Ah, crap.
Technical difficulties. Please wait.
No, the
Lens helped us.
the
Please
one the
Please
wonders
hold. Your call is important to us.
ferme ta bouche, s'il te plaît. Okay, this is going out to the Discord voice channel, and I'm going to be starting it on the stream in 3, 2, 1, now.
Alright. The first raid we're going to discuss is Ruby Weapon, Milisandia. The first attack you'll see is Stamp, which is a tank buster mechanic. Use cooldowns and healing mechanics as necessary. Healers be prepared. Optimized Ultima is a high damage raid wide. Shields and heals will be necessary in order for the entire team to live through it. Next is Flexiclaw. Flexiclaw is going to create a strand of ropes that are going to show up underneath the field. Make sure to dodge the large explosions that will come afterwards. Next, you can either encounter liquefaction, or you can encounter Undermine. These are two different mechanics that play off of the Raven's Claw and Flexiclaw. With liquefaction, you will want to stand on top of the lines, or if Undermine, drop your bombs next to them. Next, we had Ruby Ray, which is a large, hard-hitting explosion, and then we had the Flexiclaw. Flexiclaw will create a cylindrical experience, and I'm sorry, it's going too fast for me to do explanations. Raven's Flight. Raven's Flight is going to be when Milisandia is going to take control of the Ruby Weapon, and it's going to cause the Ruby Weapon to fly across the arena. Make sure to follow the arrows on the ground to avoid being cleaved by the Ruby Weapon. Then after this is Ruby Dynamics. You will need to get into the boss's hitbox to avoid taking massive damage. It's an entire arena clean, followed by homing lasers. Make sure to spread out evenly so that way you are not overlapping with another player and that you do not take damage. Optimized Ultima is going to be the final attack. This is going to be the Soft Enrage. Ruby Weapon and Emerald Weapon are the only two normal fights where there is a Soft Enrage in Phase 1. Phase 2 begins after the inclusion of Overmind, or Oversoul. Following this is going to be Meteor Project. Each player is going to be marked with a need to catch a meteor. From here, usually it'll be 2 tanks and 2 DPS that will take the 4 meteors that will fall through, followed by an ad phase. Make sure that you're avoiding any of the Ruby Claws, which is going to be a tank buster. And make sure to heal your tanks up after they take this fight, and you want to make sure that each ad is separated from each other so they do not become linked together. If they do, they will gain a buff. Dalamud's impact is going to be a massive raid-wide explosion. Make sure to use heals and shields when necessary to avoid any unnecessary damage or wipes. Then there's going to be Magitech Meteor. This is where the tanks are going to need to take meteors. From there, healers need to make sure they're healing tanks, and DPS need to DPS down the meteors once they are caught. Let's see. After that is the Fall of Dalamud. You will need to hide behind the meteors to avoid taking damage. It's a one-hit kill, so make sure to not be out in the arena fighting the boss when this falls. I apologize, I confused Magitech and Mark II Magitech. This is where you'll need to DPS down, and you'll need to make sure that all tanks and healers are healed. Once meteors are resolved, you will see Brandamante, which is going to be 2 cleaves that will randomly target 2 DPS. Make sure to not hit the tanks with those to avoid them taking unnecessary damage and thus falling to the meteors. From there will be one more realm-wide explosion. And then the fight will go into one more outrage, and then the fight will repeat itself until Ruby Weapon is defeated. That explanation, that is the end of Ruby Weapon Normal. And a final farewell to our nearest and dearest sister, Melisandria.
I'll handle this one, as I was the one who did this. I have heard from a lot of people that they struggle with the Sapphire Weapon. Sapphire Weapon is actually really easy once you know the tells. Of course, this is just a cutscene leading up to it. Sapphire Weapon is obviously the solo instance, so it's only you and the G-Warrior against Recon. Yeah, you can actually speed this up, Abby. Stay right there. I think it's about to engage. All the effects, the sparkles, the yay. So obviously you have only a certain number of attacks on the G-Warrior. You're not your actual character, you're the G-Warrior. So the things that you have got to learn how to utilize and activate in a timely fashion are your speed up mechanic and your shield mechanic. Once you have mastered that, this is really easy because you can forego having to individually kill like the bits and stuff by just using the cannon, which you'll see in the video as soon as we get to the actual fight.
You can fast forward.
Yeah,
It's
fast
fine.
forward.
It's fine. I only put this in mostly for you.
Okay. So you want, especially when he's got the inner AoE right there, you want to move out, but use your speed up buff. Activate will summon the ghosts. Depending on if they're facing out or in, is where you want to maneuver yourself. Sometimes it can be very difficult to see which way they're facing, but it really isn't hard once you learn it. because you can tell by the swords which direction they're facing. If their swords are pointed in, you want to move out. If they're pointed out, you want to stay close to Sapphire Weapon. If Sapphire Ray only has one point of access, that means you want to get to its sides. If it has two, you want to get in front of it. I'm not going over all of what they're called. If you can, that's what I was telling before about the bits. If you line yourself up with the cannon, you can take out all the bits at the same time. You can also use the cannon here to take a huge chunk of damage off of those ending enemies. So you'll have plenty of time to take out actual Sapphire. So honestly, if you just learn the tells for especially the in-out maneuver, it's very simplistic. Also, Gaius, I believe, has uploaded these videos to YouTube because I couldn't really explain them, but he put everything in text form. So if you watch the video and you're still struggling with Sapphire, it'll tell you exactly what you need to do and when. So as soon as like he starts casting Optimize Ultima, you're going to want to pop your shield about halfway through the cast timer. Pop the shield as soon as the Optimized Ultima goes off. Take down the shield. Also, you want to pop your heal ability on the D Warrior whenever you can, because that not only heals you, it also restores your MP so that you can continue using your special maneuvers. If you do that, you're really golden. It's not hard. Back to Alphonse.
Coming up next is going to be our Emerald Weapon coverage. Today we're going to overview Garlemald's finest.
I think it might have closed.
Let's see. Oh, yes, it had frozen for me. So, right now on stream we're seeing Emerald Beam. Emerald Beam is going to be a cylindrical moving mechanic. From here, you will be able to continue moving to avoid taking damage by bobbing and weaving between the different AoE circles. Magitek Magnetism is going to be where magnets show up on the field. Players who are not tethered and are not the tanks are going to want to stand in the safe zones away from the orange AoE explosions. Of course, later on there can be overlapping areas where it is safe for you to keep your uptime and your DPS. But for DPS sake, make sure to avoid the AoEs. Optimize Ultimas are raid wide. Make sure to use heals and shields when necessary. And then split is going to be where the Emerald Weapon will split in half. Either the top half or the bottom half will be there. If it's the top half, you will see Sidescape, which is going to be a half room AoE cleave, followed by a puddle that will appear in any random cardinal direction. From there, it will be a knockback. Make sure to use your knockback mitigation or stand close to the puddle to avoid falling off. With that mechanic resolved, you will then see the Magitek hand bits, which is going to be where you want to get into the boss's AoE hands. You definitely do not want to catch those hands. Divide et Impera. Make sure to spread out away from other members of your team to avoid taking any unnecessary overlapping damage. Finally will be Pulse Laser. This is where DPS will be marked with a random target above their head. Make sure to bait these line AoEs away from the rest of the party to avoid cleaving the party unnecessarily. From there, it's going to be a hand formation. Hand formation will appear on one side of the screen, followed by a sidescape again. Half the arena will be cleaved by an AoE. not followed by knockback this time. And then orbs will appear on either the east or west side, usually is on east side of the arena. From there, players will have to avoid the orbs as they do a large splash damage if they are hit, and it gives you a debuff when you are hit. Following orbs is the knockback from the sidescape earlier. Make sure to either use your knockback prevention or make sure you are standing next to the puddle to avoid being knocked off. Finally, following all of that, you will enter Phase 2. Thank you, Rex. You truly were the best. Going into Phase 2, you will be fighting against the oversold Emerald Weapon. The first mechanic you will encounter is Devet and Pyrita. This time you will be able to see the cone AoEs. Make sure to bait those away from the rest of the party in a fanned out formation to avoid overlapping damage. Terminus S is going to be a series of swords that are dropped. They are going to appear on the east side of the screen, while players marked with an arrow will be knocked away from the wall. You want to make sure you're standing back far enough so that way you're not knocked into the death wall, and you are not hit by the swords falling. Followed by that was another form of Tertius, where you need to put down the blades in order to make a safe spot for everyone under the boss. And then Tertius Terminus Est is the most renowned mechanic, where a series of swords will drop, and it will create lines on the floor. From here, you will need to memorize the pattern in which the swords fell. There can be multiple formations for this, and in the video we see below, it was the middle was the first to explode, then the inner cards, and then the cards. Legio Phantasma is when Gaius's battle data will appear in order to confront you himself. Here's where you can do a lot of massive damage to the Emerald Weapon. Make sure that you're using a lot of your burst phase in this while also avoiding full rank. Full rank is going to be a series of line AoEs that will appear in the north part of the screen, and you will need to dodge accordingly to where there are missing soldiers. This can be at random. There is no set pattern for this, and you will want to make sure you are not hit by it, as I do believe, and even in normal mode, it is a one-hit kill. With that, you have seen every mechanic that is in normal Emerald, and you will be able to complete the fight. Coming up is Diamond Weapon, which is, of course, the weapon I piloted. First attack you will see is Diamond Rain, which is going to be a heavy-hitting AoE, and then a new platform will appear on the other side of the arena. This is going to be one of the only fights where you have to teleport back and forth between two different arenas. Following this will be using the battle data gathered from the other weapons. Adamant Claw is going to be a callback to Ruby Weapon, where you will want to avoid the claw on the side of the platform that is chosen for the attack. Tank line attack. Both tanks need to have their tank stances on and make sure they are in top aggro, because they will be hit by hard-hitting line AoEs consistently. Photon Burst. Both tanks are going to be targeted with a flare marker. They need to stand away from the rest of the group and heavily mitigate to avoid taking massive damage. Element Purge and Diamond Flash. This is going to be a callback to Recon. Diamond Weapon will select one side of the arena to cleave, while everyone teleports to safety and stacks up to take a heavy-hitting stack. If players do not stack, it is a one-hit kill. Kochi Stigma is going to be Phase 2. Phase 2 of Diamond Weapon is where he sheds his armor and takes on what is known as dog form. From here, Diamond Weapon will select one of the arenas after the Ari Cyclone, which is going to be a major knockback. Stand next to the puddle and not under it, as standing under it is a one-hit kill. You want to get knocked back to the other side of the arena, and then followed by Airship's Bane, where Diamond Weapon will select one platform to knock off. So therefore, there will be no more platform to teleport on in this phase. During phase 2, you will have Outrage, which is a high hitting, unavoidable AoE, shield, and heal as necessary. This is going to be followed by Ari Arts, my personal favorite attack. Stand in the safe zone next to Diamond Weapon's foot and follow the AoE pattern. He will go in a zigzag pattern and then cleave half of the arena in one go. It's a very fast attack, but if you pay attention to any of the AoEs on the ground, you can see where he's going to attack in normal mode, and that makes that attack very easy to avoid. Ari Arts 2 is going to be 2 orbs will appear on each side of the arena. Follow the AoEs, stay out of the middle, and avoid the orb that he starts on to avoid a major splash AoE. Vertical Cleave is going to be a knockback. Use your knockback prevention to avoid being knocked off the arena, or angle yourself so that way you're not to a corner of the arena to avoid falling off. Once you have completed all those mechanics, you are going to be going back into phase 3. Phase 3 is very similar to phase 1. The difference is there's going to be Diamond Shrapnel, where each player that is marked with this needs to stack up in front of the teleport that they are going to choose to teleport across with. Generally, you want to bait this away from the rest of the team to avoid getting major damage. The Shrapnel will then follow you across the gap between the 2 different platforms, and that will keep damage as minimal as possible. Next will be Articulated Bits. You want to avoid being hit by the hands, as they will do a half-room cleave, and then you need to adjust accordingly. When Diamond Weapon has his shoulders open, that's going to be a AoE that will drop on top of you, and you want to make sure that you are spread far enough across to ensure that no one takes overlapping damage, while also avoiding Articulated Bits. Followed by the Articulated Bits will be towers. You will want to stand in towers on each side of the arena to avoid a debuff going to the entire team and unnecessary damage. With all these mechanics in mind, you have now completed Diamond Weapon and have finished the final fight in Sorrow of Werlyt panel.
Or questline, rather. Before we start the extreme explanation, I do want to let you guys know something. We have been granted an extension for the panel because this is running a little bit longer than we thought. So bear with us. We're going to explain the extreme fights, and then after that, if you have any questions about any of the fights, like if you're like, okay, well, I've tried the extreme and this really caught me off guard, we can try to explain that as much as we can. And then lastly, of course, we're going to have that Ask Garland so that I already see that you guys are interacting, especially with our villains. But this is your time to shine where you can ask us whatever you want. But let's go ahead and continue on with the extreme fights. Oh, one last thing. Even though I don't believe they're here right now, I want to give a shout out to my friend Ravi, who was an absolute doll and was our recorder for the standard weapon fights. Also, you saw our pet cat also joined in for that. I want to thank everyone who answered our call on Party Finder to be able.
Yeah. All right. So with that, and if we're ready, I'm going to start the video for the extremes and hand it back to Alphonse to explain those mechanics.
All right. So if you made it to this part of our panel, we are following the extreme right now. Going back to Ruby Weapon, we will be following the attacks. First will be, could you slow that down just a little bit more? First will be Outrage, which is going to be a raid-wide AoE, followed by Tank Buster. Then there will be Magitek Bits that will target to random players. Here, players will need to bait the bits to ensure that they are not going to bait into the safe zones of Flexiclaw. Flexiclaw is going to be a conal AoE, where AoE pulls are going to go out. Bait the bits into the safe zone, or into the not safe zones, and then adjust accordingly to avoid taking unnecessary damage from the Flexiclaw. This will repeat twice, and then there will be a third set of bits that will go off without the Flexiclaw included. Once that has resolved, there will be another Outrage, which is going to be a raid-wide AoE, followed by the Tank Buster. Make sure that tanks are at least shielded if they have taken a Vuln stack, or at full health if they are going to be not tank swapping. Here there will be there's going to be Flexiclaw, which is going to put down tendrils again under the earth, followed by a large explosion. Make sure you are standing very close to the wall to avoid dropping, or to avoid unnecessary damage, followed by liquefaction and or undermine. If it is liquefaction, you are to follow the lead up to ruby weapons, slowly dropping your bombs across the leads to avoid any unnecessary damage or causing someone else's bomb to explode. Keep in mind that healers, you will need to heal your group as they take damage for every bomb that is dropped. Following this is going to be liquefaction, which is going to create an unsafe area to the outer edges of the arena, making only the center of the arena safe. Followed by Raven's Flight, which is very similar to how it is in normal mode. Here, players will need to dodge Ruby Weapon by following the arrows that Ruby Weapon is going to use to cleave the arena. The only caveat that is different in this extreme is that Ruby Weapon will either have claws on the left or right, as seen in normal Diamond Weapons fight, and the party will have to adjust accordingly to avoid taking unnecessary damage from a half-room cleave. Once Ruby Weapon has reached the part of Raven's Flight where the arena is going to switch up, the center will become an unsafe zone that will give you 6 flums under and drown you if you do not move out of it. Adjust accordingly to avoid a half-room cleave. Following this will be another set of Tank Busters, and then Ruby Dynamics. This is going to activate accordingly to normal mode, where you need to get into the boss's hitbox, but this time the stack markers will also appear above both healers, split into light parties in the boss's hitbox to avoid unnecessary damage, and then you will need to spread out accordingly against the wall to avoid overlapping with other party members and making a safe spot for everyone to stand in, as Ruby Weapon is going to do cut and cleave across the middle of the arena. If you were hit by cut and cleave, it is a one-hit kill. And from there will be 2 bombs dropping on either side of the arena that will cause heavy raid-wide damage. From here, healers will need to shield and heal accordingly, followed by a series of another series of Flexiclaw and either liquefaction or undermine. This is also randomized. It can occur either way. So if it doesn't use liquefaction first, it will use undermine afterwards. This, of course, will also be followed by a heavy hitting tank auto, and then Ruby Ray, which is going to be a very high hitting frontal attack. Make sure to stand either at Ruby Weapon's flanks and or behind Ruby Weapon to avoid taking unnecessary high damage. with that, there will be Optimize Ultima, which is going to be a team AoE going into phase 2, which will be the soft enrage for phase 1. Just like in normal mode, there's also a soft enrage for phase 1 in both Ruby and Emerald. Going into phase 2 for Ruby Weapon. First, there will be a raid-wide AoE followed by ads. You will need to look at your debuffs on your character to figure out which attack you will need. If you have the blue debuff, attack red, and if you have the red debuff, attack blue. Following this, there will be a series of AoEs that will target the DPS and will cause massive damage to them. Make sure to heal your DPS to avoid any unnecessary deaths and avoid DPS loss. Followed by heads that will tether to a random player. Players who are tethered to the heads will need to adjust accordingly so that way the heads can hit the opposite colored ads, which will give them a debuff and make it so that way you kill them faster, which will end up going into the second part of phase 2's fight. Following this, you will see the Fall of Dalamund, and DPS will be targeted for AoEs. Make sure to heal and shield as necessary. While in this phase also, there will be an attack called Negative Aura. You will want to avoid looking at the boss to avoid being run into the death wall. Then there will be Mark II Magitech meteors, where each player will be marked with a number above their heads. If you are marked with 1 through 7, you will need to go to your respective clock position to avoid dropping a meteor too close to the boss and making an unsafe space for people to stay. If you have 8, you want to stand either close to the boss's hitbox or in between the boss's hitbox and the death wall, so that way when the meteor is dropped, it doesn't produce too much damage to the team, but also provides a safe space from the Fall of Dalamund. This is also like in normal mode, where it will be a one-hit kill if you are hit, followed by Screech. Screech is a knockback attack that will knock players either into the death wall, use knockback prevention, or angle yourself to be knocked back behind the safe meteor to avoid taking a one-hit kill. Following this is going to be Magitech meteors, where both tanks have to take the meteors, and DPS and healers need to focus on DPSing the meteors down. Players will also be targeted for line AoEs. They will need to bait those away from the tanks to avoid a magic down. If a meteor does get through, it will cause massive raid-wide AoEs. After this, there will be another Fall of Dalamund, and the fight will repeat itself until the boss is dead or reaches its enrage, as this is an extreme. And with that, you have conquered Ruby Extreme. Emerald Weapon. Emerald Weapon is going to be the one that deviates the furthest from normal Emerald Weapon. Emerald Weapon Extreme is going to open with a hard-hitting Tank Buster and a raid-wide Ultimized Ultima. From here, players are going to have to adjust to partners from their clock positions in order to catch orbs. If you are starting with your yellow orb, you must adjust either clockwise or counterclockwise to catch the opposite color orb. If you are blue, you must catch yellow. You will want to adjust accordingly to east and west positions to catch the proper orb. If you grab the wrong one, or if all orbs are not grabbed, it is a one-hit raid-wide AoE and it will kill everyone. From here, you will do the bob and weave once more. The mechanic will be a revolving set of AoEs on the floor that players must dodge in and out of to avoid taking massive hits, while also avoiding lasers chasing them that will shred them and create an unescapable area of death. From here is going to be Magitech Magnetism. Tanks must go north to the one lone magnet to drop their flare markers, while DPS and healers will need to go down south or east or west, opposite of the tanks, to avoid taking massive damage, and they must heal up their tanks to make sure that they can take the tank buster that follows thereafter. Follow this is Split, which is where the Emerald Weapon is going to split in half. I'm sorry, it's going too fast. The Emerald Weapon will either be the top half or the bottom half. If it is the bottom half, it will use the attack expire, which will be an AoE that covers the entire boss's hitbox. Players must get out to avoid taking massive damage from this, followed by an Alexander puddle that will appear and explode on one part of the arena. If the top half of Emerald Weapon is present, it will do a half room cleave and it will do a knockback, much like it does in normal mode. After you get past those mechanics, there will be a soft enrage. Make sure that you heal your DPS and tanks accordingly, and make sure to DPS down in phase 1. After that, you will enter phase 2. Phase 2 immediately starts off with a spread. Everyone must spread to their clock positions to avoid overlapping conal AoEs. Players who do not will take extra damage. And when I was running this, when we did not have Echo, it was, and also a higher eye level, it was certain death. So you definitely don't want to overlap those. Following that is going to be Tertius S. You will need to adjust accordingly to where every player marked up an arrow will be close as they can be to the wall with the respective arrow. If you have an arrow pointing north, you want to be at the south wall. If you have an arrow pointing north, or an arrow pointing south, you want to be at the north wall. East and west are the same, and you want to make sure that you are being shot off without hitting another player. Following this will be another form of Tertius, where the swords will drop in a random pattern. These can be either several X's, several pluses, and then players must adjust to the safe zones and the order in which swords fell. This can either be outer corners or inner corners will be safe. And once the explosions go off on the first ones, players must adjust accordingly to get to the safe zones that the explosions leave behind in order to avoid taking unnecessary damage. Players who are hit will take a vuln stack, and it is very hard to recover from even with Echo. Following that attack will be Phantom Legalia, where Gaius will appear once more. From here, Gaius will random auto attack a random player, so make sure that you are keeping an eye on everyone's health to avoid any unnecessary DPS loss from death. On the west side of the arena, there will be a series of bots that will do a bombing squad. Players must dodge accordingly to avoid getting unnecessary damage from the explosions. Anytime a player is hit by this, it will cause a vulnerability stack. After 2 vulnerability stacks, the player will not survive the knockback that occurs afterwards. What players want to do is they want to adjust to number 5, and they want to follow number 5 down to the knockback area to be safe. Healers can shield and heal through this. Also, if there's enough shielding and enough healing, players will not receive the knockback due to the damage done by the knockback. Once that resolves, Emerald Weapon will return, doing a hard-hitting tank buster, and then followed by Tertius once more. The fight will repeat itself until you have reached its conclusion and or enrage. Finally, the last extreme raid of this tier is going to be Diamond Weapon Extreme. Diamond Weapon Extreme is a 12-minute fight with multiple phases. Every time you defeat it, you will get 2 totems. So first things first is that parties want to split up into groups 1 and 2. Group 1 will stay behind, while Group 2 will immediately teleport to the red platform. This is very important to remember for later on in the fight. Once Platform 2 arrives, Group 2 will teleport across, and this will be immediately followed by Diamond Rain. Diamond Rain in this tier is proximity-based damage. If there are 8 players on one side, it is a wipe. It will instantly kill you. This is why it's important for groups to remain in groups of 4 in like parties in this fight. This also gives you a magic debuff that makes you more prone to damage from any of the attacks that diamond weapon may do. Following the diamond rain and split, there will be another series of adamant purges, followed by also either spread or stack. If you see Alphonse call out for Rex, it is going to be a split. So teams must adjust accordingly to the adamant purge, and they must adjust accordingly on the platform to avoid overlapping damage. The AoEs are relatively large, and you want to make sure there's enough room between you and another person to avoid taking unnecessary damage. 2 players stacked up will be certain death. There is no room for error in this attack. If you see him cry out for recon, it is going to be a stack. Players will need to adjust according to adamant purge, and they will need to stack on either the left or right platform to avoid damage. Tanks will also be hit after one of these attacks with the photon burst. Tanks must go north away from their light parties, while healers and DPS will go south to the boss to avoid unnecessary damage and to avoid overlapping damage with their tank's AoE. It is proximity based. Tanks must mitigate through these attacks to avoid death. If tanks die, it will go to the next highest DPS, which will result in a wipe. If Melisandre is called out, there will be a series of adamant purges. Either left or right will be purged, and then DPS must adjust, or parties must adjust, that way Diamond Rain goes off. It is not going to wipe the entire party. Once you have gotten done with all these mechanics in phase 1, it will be Chi Z Stigma again, which will enter phase 2. Phase 2 is going to be also known as Dog Phase, and it acts very similarly to regular weapon. Upon entering phase 2, you will be tethered with either a red tether or a blue tether. If you have a blue tether, you want to be knocked to the southmost part of your platform. If you have a red spiky one, you want to be knocked across the gap to the other opposing platform. That way, when the Magitech bits go off, they do significantly less damage and do not apply a debuff. From there, Diamond Weapon will either choose the blue or red platform to knock down, and players who are on the unsafe platform must adjust accordingly to avoid instant death. Diamond Weapon will land, and there will be a series of 2 hard-hitting raid-wide AoEs. Tanks be ready to mitigate, healers be ready to heal. DPS who have attacks that can lessen damage, make sure that you are coordinating with your other DPS and mitigating when at all possible. There's 2 outrages that will go off before the next series of attacks. Aria Arts will be the next attack you will see. From there, players must gather at the safe side of the boss, as he will go into a zigzag pattern. Typically, the safest thing to do is to follow where his foot is in order to stay behind him and to avoid being hit. There will be 2 orbs on either side of the platform that Diamond Weapon will look at. If you are on the side where Diamond Weapon is looking at the orb, you will need to move to avoid a half-room cleave that will knock you off. If he is on the side that you are not on, you must stay in place to avoid being hit. Following this attack, there's going to be a second set of Ari Arts, where either a singular orb or 2 orbs will appear on the north and south side of the arena. And Ari Doomstead, which is going to be a tank buster and tank swap. Tanks must mitigate through this attack and must tank swap. This will provide a physical vulnerability up and will result in death if it is not properly executed. When both orbs appear on either side of the arena, you must run away from the boss towards the other orb and out of the middle of the arena. There will be a large splash AoE followed by a knockback. You will either need to run to the east or west side of the platform and adjust accordingly. If you have any knockback mitigation, you can pop it. If not, it acts the same as it does in normal, where you will want to be knocked back to a corner to avoid falling off the platform and ultimately dying. From here, there will be articulated bits that will appear on either the east or west side of the arena. Players must dodge them accordingly, as they will do a half-room cleave, and this is going to be coupled with RA arts. Members must be able to recognize the pattern that Diamond Weapon is going to zigzag in order to find the safe spots and avoid hands at all costs. Once this mechanic resolves, Diamond Weapon will choose a side to cleave. If Diamond Weapon is not looking on the side that you are on, you need to stay in place and you need to avoid the beams from the articulated bits. If Diamond Weapon is looking at the side you are going to be on, you must adjust so that way you are not taken out by the RE arts and to avoid the half-room cleave. Following these mechanics, you will go back into Phase 3. Phase 3 acts very similarly to Phase 1, just like it does in normal, except for there is going to be one difference, and this is called Flood Ray. Flood Ray is the mechanic that holds everyone up in prog. I know it certainly held me up when I was progging it on day 1. Party members will be marked with a series of numbers, and players must adjust and swap accordingly. If you have a blue number, you stay on the blue platform. If you have a red number, you stay on the red platform. The orders are going to be 1 and 5, 3 and 7, 2 and 6, and 4 and 8 must swap with each other. That way there's enough time in between each flood ray, so that way members can adjust to the outer corners of the arena to avoid taking unnecessary damage. 2 hits of flood ray will result in instant death. If flood ray is completed successfully, members must then go to the platforms that they started out on. Hence why I mentioned Team 1 is blue and Team 2 is red. Make sure to adjust accordingly to avoid having too many members on one platform with Diamond Rain. There's also going to be a debuff on you for teleportation of, I believe it is 15 to 30 seconds. So you definitely do not want to teleport too late, and you definitely do not want to teleport too early. Following Flood Ray is going to be Photon Blast. Tanks must mitigate through this, as they do in Phase 1, and healers must be ready to heal and shield when necessary. Following this attack is going to be Articulated Bits, where there are going to be hands that appear on either side of each arena. Players must adjust so that way they are on the safe side of the arena, away from the articulated bits when they do a half arena cleave on either side. And this is going to be followed by Adam and Purge. Diamond Weapon will select a side at random to hit, coupled with either a spread or stacked mechanic. The teams that are chosen to move must adjust over to the safe platforms and must adjust to the way the articulated bits fan out. Players must then fan out to avoid taking overlapping damage from either the spread mechanic, or must stack up in the proper place to avoid the beam mechanic. It is a one-hit kill if you are hit by it. Following this is going to be Shrapnel, which is going to be another form of articulated bits. Players must bait their AoEs to the unsafe side of the platform and run across to the teleporter before the hands go off. If you are successful in doing this mechanic, the Shrapnel will go across the gap between the two arenas and will leave a safe spot for the members of the opposing platform to teleport across. From there, players must catch towers, which will be a raid-wide damage and debuff if they are unsuccessful in doing so, and therefore will result in death, especially when it comes to Diamond Rain. Make sure that each player is healed up afterwards, especially after taking towers, because it will cause damage. And then the battle will repeat itself. There will be another series of articulated bits, another round of Flood Ray, and there will be another photon blast before Diamond Weapon hits its enrage, which is going to be the final flood ray.
But
And
as
with
long
that,
as sorry. Go ahead.
it's fine. And with that, you have completed all the extreme trials. I know that each of them are challenging in their own ways. I certainly have parts of the fights where I struggle on. But do not be discouraged. We all start off somewhere, and definitely keep doing your best, and one day you too will be Girl Mole's finest.
So those are the extreme fights. I know it sounds like, especially if you haven't done an extreme fight yet, it sounds kind of complicated. That's why if you have any questions about the fights themselves, please go ahead and ask them now. Or if you want like more in-depth answers, you can always ask us on Discord or on the Twitter. We're more than happy to go into better explanations so that you can get your clear without having to wipe over and over and over again. Because I know exactly how frustrating that is. I progged Diamond Weapon day one with the Alphons, so I feel that.
Don't worry, Allie. I'll protect you.
Oh, screw you. So does anybody have any fight-related questions before we move into Ask a Garlean? And it can be about the normal fight, Sapphire, or the extreme fight. They'd be silent.
I just don't think I have any questions myself, so.
Okay. All right then. Well, Recon's like, wait, are you sure? Are you sure that you don't get killed by us often?
I just wanted to make sure before we moved on to the final part.
What happens when you confidently stand in front of the Diamond Weapon?
Absolutely nothing. It will not attack you until you attack it, because Alphonse is actually a kind soul.
You respect your boundaries too much.
Though I will say, if you pose at me, I will not hesitate to articulate it bits you.
Poke with caution. Exactly. You want to, like, you can even go into C pose. I'm not C pose. Group pose in that fight and take pictures. It will not attack you until you attack it. Unfortunately, that's not the case with Millie or Rex, though. It will attack you if you get too close enough. If you get too close for Emerald or Ruby, it will attack.
Yep, can confirm.
Yep.
It hurts.
Okay. So I guess we're moving into Ask a Garlean. At this point, if you're in the panel room or in the stream, and you have a question for any of us, we will be answering in character. You can ask it to the group as a whole or to a specific character. Just if it's to a specific character, make sure that you particularly indicate that character. So the floor is yours. Go ahead.
So we have a question from Seo Kinderlight, which is our favorite snack. Allie, I'll let you be first to go.
I really like strawberries, though it's hard to get strawberries where we live, so I don't get to get them often.
I would have to say my answer is more or less the same. Abby, your turn.
That's really a good question, but I'm not gonna not gonna say strawberries, that, but
If you want to think it over, I can jump ahead.
oh no, it's okay. I I quite like a good apple pie. It's something we don't get very often in the military, but it's something I very much enjoy.
I'm a big fan of grahatias sandwiches.
Oh yeah, our cat makes the best sandwiches. I agree with you on that wholeheartedly.
He
Big
does.
time. For me, it would be between the sandwiches, maybe a couple cookies here and there, or a bit of sushi, if we can get it.
If we can get it is the question.
Considering we live in Werlyt, I'd like to hope we can get it quite often.
I think we can all agree on one thing: anything not dairy.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
My cookies!
Absolutely.
About my cookies!
What inspired us to make the RP group? Okay, so this is a out of character, but this is actually a really fun story.
Father has not said his favorite food.
Oh goodness, Papa, I'm sorry.
Almost any dishes that contain garlic and garlic.
Oh god. No wonder
Yes,
you seem
I
so-
wholeheartedly agree.
But Kalani Pendragon asked us what inspired us to make the RP group. So everyone you see in front of you, minus Valens, who we love dearly anyway, and Avelina, are all originally other NPCs. When we all met each other on an NPC Discord. I started the Sorrow of Werlyt quest late, and I absolutely fell in love with the characters. And I said, "Oh my god, I've got to make a character. I don't know if I want to make Ali or Rex." And at first, Alphonse says, "Oh, I want to make Rex or Alphonse." And then our previous Rex, who is no longer with us, said, "Oh, but I want to be Rex." So it started with us three. And then our not our Melisandre, our Recon joined, and then Melisandre joined. All of us have other NPC characters that we met previously, and we were like, let's just make the whole group. Why not? It'll be fun. Gaius was also from the same Discord. Valens was a very funny story because we were idling in Ulda, and I came back to my game, and here's Valens's main dressed up like Gaius Van Baelsar, just standing there with us. And we became friends that way. And after Gaius joined us, Valens was like, "Well, I could just make Valens." And we're like, "Yes, make the crazy milkman. We want this."
We need our sweaty milkman father in order
Yes.
to be complete.
Yes.
Avelina,
Unfortunately.
you joined after you joined us from, was it Twitter? Or was it, or no, the current.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Was it Abby that joined from Twitter, or was it Rex that joined from Twitter?
It was
I joined from Twitter.
yeah, for me it was a really weird kind of roundabout path. I happened to chance across Alphonse and Ali running in Castrum Marinum, the emerald weapon, with a friend, and ended up tracking them down, getting on Twitter, and kind of it went that way to where I ended up on the Discord, created Avelina, and oddly enough on my birthday, and the rest is history.
I think that covers all of us. Alyssa Holy Priest asked Valens, "How did you make it to Legatus?" Or did you already answer that? Did you already answer that?
No, it hasn't been answered yet.
Okay, Valens, how did you make it to Legatus?
Yeah.
And I will be speaking on Valens's behalf for those of you who cannot see the chat. Valens says, Legatus, oh yes.
All right, and when we're done with this one, I do have a few questions from the stream.
All right.
Right, sorry, you were saying?
Still waiting on him to type.
I'm
Yeah, we're
still
waiting.
waiting.
Valens is typing.
My good friend, Baelsar Galvis, saw a reflection of himself in me, and greatness, glory. I'm not saying that. Brilliance, and immediately assigned me to the rank of legatus.
What Alphonse didn't say was sex appeal. Sorry.
I mean,
Avelina.
sorry, go on.
Avelina, go ahead with the questions from the stream. We're gonna try to answer these questions as fast as we can. If we cannot answer all of them in the time left to us, we can always answer these on our Twitter. The time really got away from us.
Yeah,
Don't forget to ask us the questions on Discord too.
yeah.
Yeah, or the Discord.
All right, so first, we actually got a couple that are similar, so I'm going to lump them together. Rainbow Camouflage and Running asked if the war or never happened or you weren't part of the military, what kind of occupation do you all think you would have?
And I'm gonna group that kind of with Kyoha Nash. They said, perhaps all of you survived the battles and were free. Where would you have gone from there? These can kind of be grouped together. I'll go last. Everyone else.
Well, since I am the oldest, I will go first in this one. I have a very strong enjoyment of botany, and I would probably take up being a botanist or working along with the medical field in Garlemald to make enough herbs to distribute medicine to the people of Werlyt. If I were to choose a profession other than being a soldier.
If I wasn't gonna be a soldier, I would probably be an alchemist for Garlemald, so I could try to help and help make useful stuff to repair everything, and basically also to piss off Valens. He loves his precious lab.
For myself, maybe I could see myself working with chocobos, or maybe helping out with other people to see if they would need anything. Like if they needed supplies, I would go out and try to get them, bring it back as soon as I can.
For myself, I would probably remain an engineer, helping to build facilities for producing medicine or caring for the ill and injured.
Gaius and Valens.
Well, for myself, unfortunately, if you children never did become soldiers, then most likely it would have been a time where I never found you. You would have been missing from my life. But for me, it'd be fascinating because I only see myself as always a soldier for the glory might of Garlemald. Yes, she's in a tizzy right now, but I still believe Garlemald can still rise again.
And finally, Allie.
For me, if the war had never taken place, I would be happy just living my life with my family. If the war hadn't taken place, my parents would still be alive. My brother wouldn't be dead. After the war, what do I think I would do? I would give it back. everything that was ever given to me, I'll help Dad run the orphanage and help other people who were displaced by all this mess, come to terms with everything. Because being there myself is the least I can do to help others.
All right, that was a very, very excellent question. Thank you, everyone that asked that. Another one I have is from Eleonoria in the stream chat asking, did you know that Gaius was a feared murderer when he adopted you? And if so, what were your thoughts when he showed mercy on you?
Yes. We
We
did.
were quite aware.
Definitely.
I mean, when the man adopting you is well known as the leader of the invading army, it's kind of hard to mistake him for someone else. Naturally, at first, we were kind of hesitant, but he did offer us a place to stay. He took us off the street. I mean, he can't be all that bad, and it turned out that he wasn't.
I am just a soldier and a leader. Others feared me as being a murderer, but they just do not realize I was there to actually protect everyone, and those who stood in our way just did not understand what Garlemald offered all of Eorzea. But that was a different time, and my views have changed since then. I mean, I'm now doing penance for what I've done back then, and I understand.
All right, and now the last one I have from the stream chat is on a much lighter-hearted note, directed specifically to Gaius. Have you ever made dad jokes in front of your kids?
Oh, God.
Really?
The answer is yes. Yes.
He's made plenty.
Always.
Devastating dad jokes.
I'm not getting up.
No,
Yeah,
I mean, his
Rykon's
dad
dead
jokes
boss.
his dad jokes make us want to commit oversoul. Okay, does that answer your question?
Ah, crap, there goes Rex. Damn it. Well, do we have any more questions? Any at all while all of the bodies are on the floor?
Before we say that, we keep getting pinged saying that our time is up. So if you guys have any other questions, please direct them to our Discord or our Twitter. The people who are actually in the panel room, don't teleport away just yet. If you'll meet us outside, we do have a little giveaway door prize stuff for you guys.
We have a mini game to play.
A mini game.
If you want to play along, please meet us outside the area.
Yeah, but thank you guys so much for coming. It's been our pleasure to present for you guys. I hope you learned something, and we hope to see you in our raid soon. I hope to see every one of you on a glitter. You all deserve dragons.
Everyone except Valens.
Everyone except Val.
Except
Valens
him.
doesn't deserve anything.
But thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to all of you that are watching the stream right now. It's been a great spending some time with you, and we will see you later. Have a great night.
Have a good one, guys. Thanks for coming.
Enjoy the con.
Coming along.
Enjoy the con. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Remember, whoever's here, please meet us outside.